Welcome to C21 Drive Time. Our team of realtors will be sharing industry news and insights, the occasional interview with interesting people, and some of the most unreal real estate stories you have ever heard. And here's our hosts.
All right, welcome to the C21 Drive Time. Your host, Chris Hassall, C21 Drive. My guest today, Shari Garnier.
Hello.
How the heck are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
You're good?
I'm fantastic.
That's a bit more
so
like
fantastic.
Good.
Yeah. I am. I'm really excited to be here.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're having a fun conversation today, and this is what it's all about: is selling your home. But before we talk about that, we need to do a little bit of intro.
Okay.
So, who is Shari Garnier?
Well, that is a loaded question, isn't it?
How deep do we want to go?
Yeah, exactly. How much time do we actually have?
We got to cap this. It's like,
exactly. You know what? I've lived in Lloyd here for 13 years. I'm a school teacher by trade. I'm also a yoga teacher. And spirituality has been a real interest of mine in the last handful of years. And I've taken some of our good friend Taylor Madonick's mediumship courses. So I guess I'm all of that and a whole bunch of other things that we probably don't even have time for, but just one of these human beings kind of wading through this thing called life. So I have been in Lloyd for 13 years. My daughter and I bought in College Park area. She's now almost 21 and got her wheels underneath of her. And I, after much debate and lots of laying in bed, almost sucking my thumb, thought, okay, it's time. I'm gonna list my house. So
cool.
That's another reason our paths have crossed.
Absolutely. So we met in a course that we were taking outside of this, and then you'd made the decision to sell your house. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is because a lot of people will talk about, obviously the scope or the dynamic about selling a home. Yeah. But the unique wisdom that you're here to share with us today is to sell it from an energetic perspective.
Right. Being
spiritually in tune person, spirituality, yoga, the whole works. We can always talk about the dollars and cents of it or the logic of it or whatnot. And you even mentioned earlier about saying, tell us a bit about, the decision making to get there, because you said it was a difficult one.
Yeah, it's vulnerable. It's scary. You've got this place that you live in, and I remember my daughter and I had moved from St. Paul, and we had a moving company, and we sold a house, and I actually don't even really remember the details to that place. That was kind of a bumpy time in our life. My husband passed away. And I remember looking around this house and just being like, I can't even believe my couches are here. Like there was a pile of dirt in the backyard, and now we've got a fence and beautiful trees, and so it was this stability for us. But then life, as it is, ever changing, and it became very apparent to me for quite a few years. This has been a process. This is not just for me, it wasn't like a week or a month. Like it was like a couple of years. And then having good people in my path helping to encourage me. But it was a really big decision. Yeah. Because, and then it's just like, well, what's next? Well, the possibilities are limitless.
And in saying that, I mean, a lot of, people, clients, friends, family find themselves in that scenario where, your daughter's on her path now.
Yep.
She's university.
Yep. She's at Lakeland.
Lakeland, perfect. So you're saying, okay, now what do I want?
Exactly.
And that can be tricky because you're saying, well, this is the house that she's known, but now she's off to go to create her life. Yeah. Where do we put the house on? Yourself? Whether this is the empty nester clients out there that we're now talking to, is to say, it's tricky, is to go, okay, now what? Because before we're providing shelter for our children.
Exactly. And it's almost like when you've got multiple options, that can almost be more challenging than only one or none. Like, I'm stuck here, so okay, I'm just going to stay in this house forever. Yep. But when the possibilities become open, it's just like, okay, choice, which you and I have talked about a lot. Yep. We can either choose to be excited about it and explore the next chapter and the unknown, or we can kind of let go of the riverbank as we're on the raft and our fingers hanging onto the sides and see where it takes us.
And bouncing all the way down the side.
Doing circles and flipping it a bit and hanging on for dear life. Yeah.
Okay, so you made the choice, and graciously you allowed me to come in and to list your home. Yeah. So give us a bit of the background, as to say, from your perspective, because we see our side. Yep. I'm in this business every single day, just about 24/7. But from your perspective, let's shed some light on that side of it, from the client's perspective, because you're currently listed and active on the market.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about, the decision and then the ups and downs about putting it on or pricing, or tell me from your perspective what you experienced, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, I know a few realtors, and which would be considered friends, or at least close acquaintances. And my first thought was like, how do I choose? Like, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and I don't want to, make anybody feel bad. That was really a part for me. That's where when I phoned you and talked to you about, actually was phoning you for advice and just saying like, I'm kind of in a situation I don't really know. And you were so gracious, Chris, about, you know what, let's just sit down and talk, and no pressure. If you want to list with me, you can, but if you want to list with someone else, that will not affect our friendship or our at all. So that really made me feel comfortable. And then it's this vulnerable place of, oh my God, like I'm not a very good decorator, and what if I'm not the cleanest person, and how am I going to get it ready? And so when you came in, first of all, when you came in, you walked in with this sense of confidence where I remember the feeling come over my body where it was just like, okay, I don't have to do, like, this is being looked after now. So that was so appreciated. And I guess the feeling that I had was, this is the guy that I need to help me do this, because he knows what he's doing and he's got me. And so, and then the pricing, like it's scary. You don't want to get screwed. You don't want to give it away. You don't want to be the one that gets like, it's just this crazy, all this stuff, because I'm not a realtor. I don't know. Like I've never been on the other side of it. So for sure. I only know it from this perspective.
And from our side of the fence, because we're in it every day, we've got a very solid feel of what's happening in the market and what buyers are looking for, because we trade these commodities every day. Now, these commodities, people treat them like their children. Obviously, they grow up, they grow their family in them, and they paint them, and they're theirs. It becomes part of the family. Yeah. So when we come from a commodity perspective, of course, everyone thinks their place worth $1 million. Yeah. So let me
$1 million.
Yeah, $1 million. Yeah. So I always tell it to my clients. I say, well, we'll try to keep it under $1 million, because that's typically what they're expecting. Yeah. But you're right. It's the fear will grip them.
Yeah. I felt huge fear.
Yeah. So we try to come in with a obviously a caring, calm, supportive approach, is to say, well, this is what we believe would be top dollar to gain without overpricing and have it sit in the market. But you're right. It's a psychological thing that all clients go through, is to say, well, what if I am leaving money on the table? Or, how
wait a minute, like $2,500 or $5,000. Actually, that is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I know. Like there's just a lot of thought and a lot of emotion attached to all of it.
Correct.
And even for me, like I'm kind of starting a new chapter where I'm not certain where I'm going to go, and I want to explore, and I want to go rent. I want to do some traveling. Yep. So there's a little bit of that, like, okay, I'm stepping out as a 53-year-old, and I don't really have another solid house to go to. Yep. So am I really letting go? So I think the energetic part, which that's where you really helped me with as well. Yep. Talking about, are you really ready? If you are ready, it will go.
Yeah. When you're ready when you have let it go, the how will appear.
The how will appear.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah. And what is it like from your perspective when you have people, I often laugh because my wife and we've had multiple houses over the years, and I often tease her saying, dear, you're my worst client, because if someone looks at, well, what did they like? Well, how did it show? Well, did they like the carpet? Right. I say, well, dear, it's none of our, so tell me from that perspective, you have people coming into your home, touring it, judging it. Yeah. Did you have any sense of fear or anxiety, or you're okay with it? Or tell me your thoughts there.
Yeah, you know what? I felt okay with it. So if you back up, before we listed with you, actually, my daughter babysat for people, and they were interested in looking at it. So there was kind of this option of a private deal. Yep. That felt more stressful, actually, because it was me. So they came in and looked through my house with me in it. Yep. I felt really, they were wonderful people, but it was really unnerving, or that might not be the right word. It was. I felt really vulnerable, and they were not judging. They were actually very interested in the home, but I felt like I didn't have a clue what I was doing, and I felt kind of out of my element. Okay. So when you guys stepped in and people started coming, actually there was a sense of excitement. Yeah. Like turn all the lights on and do it, like make it look, open up the windows, and so actually that felt good for me.
And it is, and that's the reason why we ask for the homeowner to step away, is because when clients, even if we bring clients in and we're guiding them through, if the homeowner is home, the buyers will be uncomfortable.
Oh, for sure.
Because they don't want to offend or to say the wrong thing because they're in your space.
Yeah.
So they're obviously, the showing's booked and they're inviting, you're saying, hey, I want to see it at Friday at 5:00.
Yeah.
They're inviting themselves into your space. You're saying, yeah, go ahead. But they're looking at it through a different set of eyes and lenses.
Yeah.
They don't think that your pink wall is the most perfect because your daughter loved it when she was 16.
Exactly.
They see a pink wall and say, well, I don't like pink.
Yeah.
But if they say that, they might turn you off.
Exactly.
Or hurt your feelings.
I know.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. So
we try to take that part away from it, is to guide people through and see what they think of the home in their perspective.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah.
So it's...
No, I felt that was exciting. But again, I felt very cared for with you guys as a team looking after it. So...
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, we often, because it can be a very stressful, emotional, charged transaction. There's no doubt about that.
Actually, the first couple of viewings, I literally got in my car and drove down a back road and just put my seat back, and I was just like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Do I really know what I'm doing? So it was exciting to have people come, but it was also like facing this new chapter too. Yep. So I guess emotional, like there's just a lot of emotion attached to it.
There is, yeah. And everyone will break it up different ways. Some will be emotional, some will be a logic, some will be, it just depends. Some will just be very clinical. Hey, I'm moving to Calgary. I need to be there in 2 months.
Yeah.
Let's get this on. You know. And some, it's more of a, okay, this is a changing in life.
Yeah.
My daughter's stepping out on her own, for instance, for yourself.
Yeah, it's a new chapter.
Yeah, my wife and I, our 17-year-old, will leave the next year.
Soon, yeah.
And then, my wife and I get to look at each other and say, hi, who are you?
Exactly.
What now? Okay.
Should we paint the wall again?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So it's definitely, or that next is to say, what is that next step?
Yeah.
And for the empty nesters of the world, it can be a challenging one.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Like hugely challenging.
Yeah.
Because we're certainty creatures, and they go, well, what's next?
Yeah.
Well, what do we want to create next? And for yourself, you have a plan? You don't have a plan?
Well, my plan is to take a trip. I'm hoping to go to Italy on a yoga/cooking retreat.
Cool.
For a week, and then I'd like to go over to Croatia and stay for a week or two as well.
Yep.
And then come back, and then I'd like to rent possibly closer to the mountains for a little bit and see. And who knows? I might end up back in Lloydminster. I might end up in Lake Okanagan. I mean, I don't know. And it's kind of exciting. And so I just feel like this is an opportunity for me to explore what's next and what's out there.
Scary, exciting.
It's scary and exciting. And now the house has been on the market for how long, Chris?
Well,
end of June, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then I'm like, maybe I should have painted that wall brown, or like maybe I should have repainted, or maybe I should dust the garage more. Like, so it makes, then you kind of second guess of what my part in it. What am I doing? Am I doing it right? Am I doing enough? Should I clean more? Should I cast a spell and sprinkle pixie dust or
bake cookies?
I've heard that. Bake cookies, make it smell good.
Yeah, bread or cookies, one or the other. But that's the thing is the analysis of it, or why we're talking today is we don't want our clients to obviously let the analysis of it take some of the fun and excitement out of what could be created next.
Yeah.
Because that will and we have clients that they're staying awake at night because there's a lot of change that's happening.
Yeah.
So
I'm a good sleeper, so that has not happened. But I do catch myself. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about, we did have an offer, and I feel like I choked. Like I don't know that I thought consciously, but I got scared about dollars. Okay. And, and then, so I do catch myself running it through my mind lots during the day, and I catch, delete, come back, and refocus. Maybe I should have accepted something, or maybe I should have done it differently, or.
And the analysis of it can be excruciating.
Yeah, that part doesn't feel that great.
No, it doesn't, because it's the old hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
Well, at that present point in time that offer didn't fly.
Yeah.
That was your choice, and that was perfectly okay.
Yeah.
But on the
and you did make me feel better after we talked about it. But I was beating myself up about it for sure.
Yeah, and we don't, that's why we're having this conversation today, is because most people don't, it's fairly cut and dry what we do. A house comes up, an offer gets accepted, it's sold. We don't talk about the ones that go on for 6 months and come off, that are expired, or that an offer came in but didn't come to terms.
Right.
But that's okay. That maybe that one wasn't meant.
Yeah.
So either the buyer wasn't prepared to pay or to come to terms that you wanted,
right,
or vice
exactly.
versa.
Yes, exactly.
So we often say in sales that you walk a path of agreement. So sometimes you're both on that path and sometimes you're not, which is okay.
Yeah, that's right.
But definitely from an energetic perspective or from your side is to say, yeah, there's doubt, there's fears, and those are perfectly normal.
Yeah, and that's being in alignment with those emotions and those, I mean, they're almost sensations in a way. It's just like, oh, really? Am I old enough? Am I big enough to actually do this?
Yep.
Right? Like there's a lot of that kind of feeling tied to it. And some people who are wired differently than me might be like, yeah, there's a house, sell it, I'm going here, doing this next. Like their life is a little more clear cut, but that's just not how I'm put together, or that's not what I'm choosing at this point. So
absolutely,
it is an exciting journey, and it makes it fun having someone like you that I can talk to really openly and tell you my fears and my confusion and make it fun and laugh about it and all that too. One of the things that you said when we started this journey was like, let's have fun. I'm like, okay, that sounds good to me, right? Life's so serious, and this is just another step, right?
Yeah. For the ones that need some seriousness, of course, we can be serious. For the ones that need to have some joy, we can be whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, I'm glad you were vulnerable enough to talk about your prior experience, because some people say, well, I could just sell my house or go build one or do this. I'm like, you're right. I've often said that building a home is a marriage tester, because there's 4 million decisions to do that.
I've heard that.
Or selling your home, you're right. You have to represent yourself. I give you some coaching to say, well, you know, if you're going to do that, that's okay. Then here's some coaching, here's some guidance. Don't say this, do this.
Yeah, totally.
And be ready for it, because we all kind of go in blind and say, I don't know how to do this, but everyone says it should be easy. Yeah. And sometimes it can have ease, and sometimes it can have some bumps in the road. So
but I think that's part of what you brought to the table too, Chris, because I've had some very vulnerable, fear-based conversations with you where you've held space and listened and not been, you know, you've not judged me in the way that I think I was probably judging myself.
Correct. Yeah.
And we've had fun.
Yeah,
so,
no, for sure.
Right? So, yeah, it's a big deal. Like anybody who thinks selling a house is not it's different for you. You're on the other end of it. Yeah. This is my home. Like this is where my panties are in this drawer, and my right? Okay, my favorite cutlery is in this drawer, and this is my home base. And I've loved the home. Yep. And it's been a wonderful place. Kate and I, my daughter and I, have had a lot of massive learning experiences. We've had a lot of bumps that we've worked through. We've had a lot of family gatherings. Like energetically, it's just been this beautiful, beautiful place that we've been able to grow and thrive and survive and do all the things in. But it's time.
Absolutely.
It's time for the next chapter. It's time for somebody else to enjoy this beautiful home.
And that's the cool part, is to say it's not a matter of you're just saying, well, I'm going to burn it and leave it behind. You're saying, well, it's time for the next person to enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
So I want to pass that ability on to the next person and go from there.
Yeah.
Because you're right. There's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of dollars and cents.
I was just going to say that, and that's definitely been a huge part of it for me too, because, you know, you pick a number and it's just like, okay, like now we're in the hundreds of thousands. Like that's not just like I've spent a lot of money at OJ's for lunch. Like, this is a big deal.
Yeah. For most, it's their single largest investment in their life.
Right.
So, you know, we have to obviously handle that with respect and guidance and honor and fun.
Yeah.
If necessary, or whatever the person needs. But definitely there's a lot of judgments and points of view and good, bad energies, all sorts of
old
stuff.
Old belief systems around money.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, and God love you, and I am so glad that I listed the stress of that even that one slight moment of private for me was really, really, it was hard for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, chiropractors, realtors, like you just, you know, like it's like, watch out, you know, you gotta make sure, are they good guys? Like, you know, I don't know.
And it's, I look at ourselves as professionals, obviously, and
Absolutely.
we're one member of your team.
Absolutely.
Now, your team could be everyone from your dentist to your accountant to your physician, your yogi to it's like, well, I've got all these people on my team that are watching my back and making sure that things are happening in my best interest, and also helping in my blind spots.
Yeah, and I think that's what I felt the most when you came on board. It was just like, I feel looked after, I feel cared for, I feel like it felt safe and it felt right. Because there was a lot of questions in my brain, like, you know, you don't want to lose money. Like, you don't want to, like, it's great to go traveling and go rent by the mountains, but like, I don't want to throw my house away. I don't want to,
for sure.
You know, so, I mean, that's an extreme example, but
it is, but in times of stress, most people go to the extreme example.
Exactly.
most people, when we come to introduce ourselves, they'll say, well, what's my house worth? But I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a hurry.
Oh, yeah.
It could.
I even said that myself.
I want you to price it so it'll take 9 years to sell. And you're like, well, cool.
Okay, $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But even, Chris, like even I struggled even telling my neighbors. I've got the best neighbors in the world. I really do. And they knew like Kate's moved out and like my next chapter starting, we're all good friends now. I even felt bad telling my neighbors. So I left it to the last minute. So you put the sign up, I think, on a Thursday evening. Yep. I basically ran over to each one of them like Thursday afternoon. Okay, this is what I did. This is what I did. This is what I did. It's a lot. It's a big deal, but it is also fun and it is also exciting. So I think that's where coming with Century 21 has been so beneficial for me because it's helped to balance it. It's taken some of the seriousness away, but still address the seriousness in a way where I feel taken care of.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then from your space perspective, when we gave you some guidance as to say, do this, thin this out. I remember you calling me after and said, hey, the house feels so great now. I've thinned through my stuff. I often say there's 3 piles. There's the move to the next destination, give away and sell.
Yeah.
So when you went through that process, tell us a bit about that.
Well, it's funny. A few years ago, someone told me to read this book called The Magic Art of Tidying Up. And it's by this woman named Marie Kondo.
Marie Kondo.
Kondo. Yeah. Anyways, my daughter and I went through the whole house, and you don't go through room by room, you go through by topics or like jackets. I remember we took all the coats out of all the closets, put them in the living room. And I'm just like, seriously, 2 people have this many jackets? I couldn't believe it. I took 3 garbage bags of coats to the, people who needed them in town. And I thought I was done. So that work's done. I did it. So when you kind of guided me in what I needed to do for getting ready for photos and for listing, I remember phoning just be like, I'll never get through the garage. Like, I can't do it. Like, it's too much. Yeah. I'm not big enough. I'm not strong enough. And honestly, it was like my daughter and I decided we would have a little garage sale, which I'm not good at. We ended up a Saturday afternoon. We thought, let's just pull stuff out. She started putting stuff on Marketplace. I said, we got to get rid of it. And then we kind of accidentally had a garage sale on the Sunday. And all of a sudden, it was just like, okay, this garage just looks amazing. Like, I think I could go buy another vehicle and it just looks beautiful. It was empty. Yep. And then from that perspective, I walked into the kitchen and I'm just like, because you had told me to take all the stuff off the countertops and do all these little tips. And I'm just like, holy man, this house is even more beautiful than I thought it was. Yep. It didn't make me think I wanted to stay there. But when you and I spoke, you said so many people do this process and then they're like, wait a minute, maybe I don't actually want to move after all. Like, this house is amazing.
They'll often say, the house has never looked so good.
I said that to you.
Because the process of living, stuff piles up and things happen and we get busy. Then you get it in show ready and you're like, now I remember why I love this space.
Exactly.
And it shows so good and clean and neat and tidy. And when you do that, then the buyer can walk in and they can see their stuff there because they're not overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that's in your home.
Yeah.
And I talk about the declutter. It's kind of a space, a physical declutter and an emotional declutter.
It's a huge emotional declutter. Yeah. So it was empowering. It was definitely empowering. And like, even still, I got home from Calgary last night and I walked into the entry and I'm just like, this is an amazing space. Yeah. But it's because there was nothing, right?
Less is more.
Less is more.
My clients keep asking me, say, what should I do? I just say, less is more.
Yeah.
Thin out like you've never thinned out before. Yeah. Clean like you've never cleaned before.
Okay, like what time is it? I think I might have to go home and like start getting rid of more junk out of my closets.
But it's funny because we never talk about that end of it. Either pre or post is once the space is cleaned out. It just feels so much lighter and inviting and the whole works.
Energetically, I even remember when I went through the closet. I'm clean, I'm tidy, but I'm not the tidiest. So when I went to my walk-in closet the night before, whatever the next day was, and I did this kind of sorting out and kind of put a few things away in different closets and got rid of more stuff. Seriously, every time I look in the closet, I'm just like, I just feel excited, right? Not necessarily about the clothes that are in there, not necessarily about the house that I'm going to sell, but just about the possibilities because it just feels expansive, right?
Yeah. And that's what, when we get involved, we want to talk to people, not just be focused on price or commodity. It's possibilities.
Yeah.
If you sell this home, what's the next possibility for you?
Yeah.
What will this open up for you? What will this, what could your next step be?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're moving in town, out of town, cross town, selling it because you want to go rent.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone has their need.
Yeah.
So we're just here to be the facilitators of that.
Yeah.
And hopefully assist
one of the
you
things one of the many things that you did that I really appreciated was you asked me to write a list of 10 things that were the best. Like what were the 10 things that I loved the most about this house, this area?
Yep.
And I think that, initially I thought, oh, that's for the potential buyers and for the advertising, but really it was for me.
Yep.
Right? It's just like, this has been a great run.
Yep.
And I really feel ready. And it feels, again, I could say this 100 times over, but it does feel so good to be cared for and guided by someone with the level of professionalism but confidence that you bring to the table.
No, thank you. You're too kind. You're too kind.
Oh, come on.
But we ask that for a couple different reasons, is to set the tone, to remind yourself on what you like about it.
Yeah.
And to energetically set it so you're saying, well, come love this house for the same reasons that I do. And then we kind of weave some of that into the write-up. Not all of it, but some of it.
Yeah.
Some people will give us a novel. Some people give us 2 things.
Yeah.
It just depends on the client. But you're right. You're trying to prep the space from a energetic perspective of the person being allowed to let it go for the next people to come in.
Yeah.
And then say, well, I want you to love it just as much as I do, or maybe even more.
Yeah, and from a kind of a woo-woo spirituality perspective, I definitely, every day I go through it, and I know in the last course that I took, I think you were with me in it, but I did an energetic cleanse, and there's specific steps that you can take, and it felt really good to do that. And every day I catch myself just being like, you know what? Whoever this next family is that is going to come and raise their kids here, like I just welcome you in. And it feels this expansive, exciting, rather than, oh God, I'm going to be so glad to get rid of this place, like, because it's not that, right? And that's a heavier, more stuck feeling.
It goes from, energetic versus transactional.
Right.
Transactional is like, you sold it, you bought it, here's the keys, fine, I'm out the door.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I love it here, and I want you to love it. And whatever their choice is, if they love it or don't love it, that's up to them.
Right.
But it's like, it's treated me well.
Yeah.
Hope it does the same for you. Cool. See it in the movies.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I'm on my way.
Yeah. It feels good. Yeah, it's exciting. So we'll see what the future has in store.
Well, that's the fun part about our job, is we never know.
Yeah.
We try to take certainty and put some sanity to the unknown.
Yeah.
Which is the trickiest thing of them all.
Because it's an environment of uncertainty.
You could not ask for more uncertainty. We do not know what's going to happen. We do not know who's going to show up, who's going to buy, who's going to look.
What day?
We just never know.
That's one of the things. So I was gone to Calgary for 4 days, and we haven't had a viewing for, I don't know, a week or maybe even 7 or 8 days. And so I thought, I better go do a clean sweep and make sure everything's put away and kind of do my little energetic rituals that I like to do, because we don't know, and end up having a viewing that day, Thursday. Yep. So, it just makes you feel good, right?
Yeah, and it's as much as it can be fun and exciting about that, most people will take it for the stressful side. So it's a matter of,
well, listen, don't let these people look in the closets, because sometimes it's a mad dash of shoving blow dryers and mirrors and whatever in the bench or in the cupboard.
We often laugh because Aaron, that works here at the Drive, he always says, well, sometimes you open up the stove, you don't know what you're going to see, because sometimes there's dirty pots and pans are thrown in there. And
I think I threw in the dishwasher a couple times. I threw 2 dirty tea towels and a something from the pantry that absolutely did not belong. And I really could have just put it in the pantry, but I kind of panicked and I shoved it in the dishwasher.
Yeah. But the fun part is, you never know.
No.
The one house my wife and I sold, she had the bed stripped and she was doing laundry that day, and the people showed up on the doorstep saying, we want to see the house.
So what did you do?
She could have crucified me.
Oh, right.
She opened the door, said, fine, it is what it is. And guess who bought it?
Shut up.
Those people bought it.
Interesting.
So sometimes you just don't know. It's like, it couldn't have showed, well, I mean, my wife's house is never bad, but I mean, it's like,
right. But
it
typically,
wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
We try to keep them perfect, but in that day, the buyer showed up and you're like, okay, I guess this is how we're going to roll today.
Yeah. But then that tells me it's not really about if you've got the perfect bedspread or if you've got the right. It's more about if it's the right buyer at the right time.
Yeah. True. Or how are we presenting the house energetically to be welcoming?
Yeah.
Some you walk into, it can be a heavier, dense,
feel
to it.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But it's real. I mean, the energetic conversation is an important one to have.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're having it today, because typically we talk about tricks, tips, funny stories, stuff that's happened to us as real estate agents.
Yeah.
We see all sorts of wild, wonderful
Well, I mean,
stuff.
if you want to get into the whole I take sage and I smudge, and I've got some sage that you actually light, and I use a kind of a feather to kind of go around different areas, but I've also got a spray that kind of helps to energetically clear. I use crystals, and
there you go.
Yeah, we can talk woo-woo. That's kind of out there. I don't know if you want to put that in the C21
Sharis for hire to de-woo-woo the house and energetically cleanse it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Energetic cultivating of the land, clean up the ley lines. Yeah, we go deep.
We could. There you go. Well, let's stay in the shallow end today.
Yeah, let's stay in the shallow end. It's big, yeah.
That may be part 2 of the conversation. When the house is sold, we'll do part 2.
Then we'll do part 2. I love it.
Debrief. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, thank you for to share and to talk about that side of things.
It was fun.
If not mentioned earlier, this is episode 11 and of C21 Drive Time. We're just here having some fun, talking stories and talking to real people just like you, Shari. Real people.
Thank you, Chris.
All right.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, and that's a wrap for episode 11. So thank you so much for tuning in. And subscribe to anywhere you get your podcast from. I don't know where you get them from or where in the ether they are, but click, ring the bell, subscribe, do what you got to do. We love having these conversations to clients. Of course, you've heard realtor stories. You've heard all sorts of wild and wonderful stuff. So we're just here having some fun here at C21 Drive. And be ready for some more, because we're bringing more at you every week. And we will talk to you soon. Take care.